Ladies and gentlemen, what is going on? It's your boy Monotony. It's been a very, very, very long time since we went live on this channel. I actually stepped away for about 3 years there. So I've been back for the past couple months. I've been making videos. Of course, YouTube did step in and ban my channel, supposedly for deceptive spam and scam practices. Uh, Took forever to get through to an actual human, but I was able to. And now, yeah, I apologize. Life was happening in front of me as I was trying to host this live stream. What I was trying to say was YouTube banned my channel for no good reason. It was their AI that banned it. It took about a month until I could get through to an actual human and have them review my account, review everything, see everything was on the up and up. And thankfully they did. And now I am able to live stream again. Now I am able to make videos again, create content, all that good stuff. And I am pleased about that. So it's great to be back with all of you. I love all of your faces. And yeah, let's go ahead and jump right into this. So, going on right now, this morning, the Supreme Court, in a 6-3 decision, struck down Donald Trump's emergency tariffs, which is like the crux of his economic plan. It really, I mean, mass deportations and fixing the economy are Trump's biggest campaign promises. And the economy was supposed to help get fixed through these tariffs, which is basically other countries have been taking advantage of us for a very long time. Our leaders have allowed these other countries to eat our lunch, whether it be pharmaceutical prices, whether they're sending our jobs overseas, whatever it may be. And these countries tariff the hell out of us. If we try to do business in their country, we have to pay a tax. But meanwhile, they get to basically overload our country with their products, products usually being from the result of what used to be an American job that got sent overseas. They get to do business in our country for free. Donald Trump didn't like that. It's something he's talked about for a long time, but in his second term specifically, he was focusing on the tariffs. And yeah, I don't know how he's going to go forward. Me personally, and I know a lot of other Trump supporters out there, we've been a bit disappointed in this first term. And I've got a buddy that tells me, well, you can't get everything you want. You got to stop whining. And it's not whining. It's holding our elected officials accountable. And this second term of Donald Trump's just something hasn't seemed right. Whether he's trying to pander to a certain country in the Middle East, or whether it's promising no new wars. And then, I mean, geez, our warships are pulling up in the Middle East right now. They're pulling up off the Gulf Coast. There's whispers of a war in Iran, and I don't know. Netanyahu was just here for the second time this year, a week ago. So what I'm trying to say is, had Donald Trump been doing just this amazing job and appealing to his base for during the first year of his second term, maybe this wouldn't hit so hard. But you know, and a lot of Trump supporters want to get mad, like, oh, well, you're just a panicking, or you're just this or that. And it's not. I've probably supported Donald Trump longer than they have. There are some people that just came around this decade, you know. I supported Trump when it wasn't safe to support Trump, when it wasn't okay to support Donald Trump, when you would lose your job for supporting him. That's when I supported Donald Trump. When Hillary Clinton had a 90% chance of winning, that's when I supported Donald Trump. So when I see him out there going against his own campaign promises, or when I see him out there doing some uncharacteristic things, I'm going to speak up. It doesn't mean I have TDS. It doesn't mean I'm going to rag on the guy for whatever he does. I want him to do a great job. And that's why it's so disappointing, because so far it feels like he hasn't been doing the job we all know he can do. So with that being said, right now we're just waiting for Donald Trump's response, the president's response to the Supreme Court. Man, well, I don't even know. Why would the Democrats want to pack the Supreme Court when they have Amy Coney Barrett, which is probably one of Trump's biggest mistakes? Because, see, this is another thing. Democrats have no problem. And I'm not bitching about Democrats here. Unlike Republicans, Democrats actually fight for their voters, even if their ideas are terrible and it's going to crumble the damn country. Just give me one moment, you guys.
Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton will be deposed by the House Oversight Committee in their hometown instead of in Washington, D.C. next week, according to Fox. The Clintons are testifying under oath for the committee's probe into Jeffrey Epstein. Hillary Clinton's deposition is scheduled for February 26, while Bill Clinton will sit down with congressional staff and lawmakers on February 27th. That's a story that we
Ladies
just saw
and
come
gentlemen,
through.
I'm so sorry about
Also,
that. Like I
we're
said,
looking
life
at
is happening right
some
now.
other
First live
stories,
stream I've hosted in a long
coming through here,
long
and
time.
more
And it's
than,
kind of the middle of
I
the
guess, a
day. I'm
lot
here
of
on
people when
the
it
West
comes to
Coast.
not.
So, yeah, things are going on all around me. But, yeah, again, we're just waiting for Donald Trump's response, President Trump's response to the Supreme Court. Basically voting 6-3 against his emergency tariffs, which, again, it's like the support beam of his economic plan, which, for those who don't know, it's the economy stupid, is the general rule of thumb. That's what wins elections. That's what loses elections. We need a great economy. So, yeah, again, we're just waiting right now for President Trump to host a press briefing with Carolyn Levitt. It's probably going to be pretty manic. It's probably going to be kind of crazy. So until then, we can look for some other things to we can see what else is going on social media. I do know Eric Dane, he was in Grey's Anatomy, and like Charmed, but you'll have to excuse me because I don't watch these shows, so I'm not very familiar with him. But I did see that he passed away today, unfortunately. Young age of 53 years old. Apparently, last year. Excuse me. I don't know when he got the diagnosis, but last year he revealed his ALS diagnosis, and yeah, unfortunately, he passed away. He was married to Rebecca Gayheart, so I couldn't imagine, you know, losing my soulmate like that. Losing my wife, my beautiful wife, my partner through life. So to Mr. Dane's family, to his wife, to his children, to everyone who knew him personally, and that includes you, Elisa Milano. My heartfelt condolences, my sincerest condolences. The world is a lesser place without him. And yeah, it's just really sad. Again, especially in this day and age, 53 is young. So may his soul rest in peace. And again, if you are just tuning in, we are waiting for President Trump to host a press briefing after SCOTUS did vote down his emergency tariffs this morning. So hopefully that'll begin soon. It was supposed to begin about 30 minutes ago, but look, the man's leading the free world. Or he's just on a phone call with Netanyahu. At this point, who knows? But he should be taking to the podium soon. And yeah, we'll see what he has to say. We'll see what his response is. Again, this is such a big deal, them turning down or voting against his tariffs because, again, this is the crux. This is the main support beam. This was his plan to get the economy back on track. And unless you've been under a rock for the past 10 years, you should know that a lot of our elected officials, a lot of our judges, a lot of the people in our legal system, or just in our system in general, sure seem to make a lot of weird decisions that harm the everyday blue collar American workers, and really feels like, they're scurrying this country towards destruction. But what can I say? I'm a conspiracy theorist. I notice patterns. I see things with my eyes and ears, and you're not allowed to see. Back when I grew up, thinking for yourself was a good thing. Back in the 80s, they used to encourage it. But now you're not encouraged to think for yourself. You're just a conspiracy theorist. So, yeah, not so good. Not so good. Oh, God. This makes me sad about the tariffs because it's like, where does he go from here? And I sure hope Trump has a plan B, but there have been a few key moments or times in his first term as well as his second term, and even during his campaigns, where a plan B would have been quite effective, and unfortunately he didn't have one. If you ask me for a specific example right now, I don't know, it's maybe the 2020 election. I mean, it's not like it came out of left field. We all saw these mail-in ballots. Nobody liked the mail-in ballots, which, may I add, we have wanted voter ID, and not we Republicans or we Democrats or we white people. I mean, we, the American people, the majority of us in mass, have wanted voter ID for a very, very long time. And yeah, can't seem to get that through. But mail-in voting, they sure got through really quick, like really, really quick. Yeah. So I don't know. Again, like, it's almost all set up. It's almost like it's all a plan. It's almost like the controlled demolition of our country. And today's SCOTUS decision is just another brick in that wall, or out of the wall, I should say. So it's sad, but it is what it is. At least we're all in this together, right? At least we're all hashtag American Strong, or whatever fucking platitude they come up with this week to keep everyone complacent and dumb and not paying attention to what's going on right in front of their face. I mean, I haven't read the decision yet, but as an American, as a red-blooded American who has seen what's been going on to this country our entire lives, this boomer delusion, this failed economic policy, the reality of classic liberalist ideals smashing against reality. You just kind of wonder how any of these Supreme Court justices could have come to this decision without having the destruction of our country in mind. And look, I'm no Supreme Court justice. I ain't smart enough for that. So maybe I'm just too dumb to understand the thought process. I know I'm able to define what a female is, what a girl is. So that alone disqualifies me from sitting on the highest bench in this country. But again, so I don't know. It's hard to get past just political theater and planned demolition, but it looks like we have Donald Trump up. Let's take a listen in on his reaction.
And love of our country, which is right now very proud of those justices. When you read the dissenting opinions, there's no way that anyone can argue against them. There's no way. Foreign countries that have been ripping us off for years are ecstatic. They're so happy. And they're dancing in the streets, but they won't be dancing for long. That I can assure you. The Democrats on the court are thrilled, but they will automatically vote no. They're an automatic no, just like in Congress. They're an automatic no. They're against anything that makes America strong, healthy, and great again. They also are a, frankly, disgrace to our nation, those justices. They're an automatic no, no matter how good a case you have. It's a no. You can't knock their loyalty. It's one thing you can do with some of our people. Others think they're being politically correct, which has happened before far too often with certain members of this court. And it's happened so often with this court. What a shame. Having to do with voting in particular. When in fact they're just being fools and lapdogs for the rhinos and the radical left Democrats, and not that they should have anything at all to do with it. They're very unpatriotic and disloyal to our Constitution.
It's like a libertarian. It's better to watch your children's
swayed by
future crumble
foreign interests
than
and a political
to
movement
actually
that is far
buckle
smaller
down
than
and make the hard
people
decision.
would ever think.
It's easier just to die on our own ideals.
I won by millions of votes. We won in a landslide. With all the cheating that went on, there was a lot of it, but we still won in a landslide. Too big to rig. But these people are obnoxious, ignorant, and loud. They're very loud. And I think certain justices are afraid of that. They don't want to do the right thing. They're afraid of it. This was an important case to me, more as a symbol of economic national security. And also, I would say, just for our country itself, so important, because we're doing so well as a country. We've never done so well. The good news is that there are methods, practices, statutes, and authorities as recognized by the entire court in this terrible decision, and also as recognized by Congress, which they refer to, that are even stronger than the IEEPA tariffs available to me as President of the United States. And in actuality, I was very modest in my ask of other countries and businesses because I wanted to do, and it's very important, I wanted to be very well behaved because I wanted to do anything. I didn't want to do anything that would affect the decision of the court, because I understand the court. I understand how they are very easily swayed. I want to be a good boy. I have very effectively utilized tariffs over the past year to make America great again. Our stock market has just recently broken 50,000 on the Dow, and simultaneously, and even more amazingly, broken 7,000 on the S&P, two numbers that everybody thought upon our landslide election victory could not be attained. Think of that. Nobody thought it was possible to do it within 4 years, and we did it in 1 year. They said, you'll never be able, you'll go back and you read the geniuses, read their statements, all of the Nobel Prize winners in economics. They said, no, you couldn't do it in 4 years. Well, we didn't do it in 4 years. We did it in 1 year. We broke every record in the book, and we're continuing to do so.
Yeah, unfortunately,
Tariffs
that doesn't translate on the ground.
To end 5 of the 8 wars that I said.
I mean, yeah, it's great for the country that the stock market is doing well, but these are the same people who are laughing at Occupy Wall Street protesters and
great meeting that we had,
drinking champagne as our tax dollars bailed them out.
He said yesterday that
I'm sorry, in this, I'm all down economics and capitalism,
but what we're do some bad things
dealing with in this country is
us great national security.
Anyway.
These tariffs have, and together with our strong borders, reduced fentanyl coming into our country by 30%. When I use them as a penalty against countries illegally sending this poison into our country to poison our youth, all of those tariffs remain. They all remain. I don't know if you know that or not. They all remain. We're still getting them, and we will after the decision. I guess there's nobody left to appeal to. But again, those 3 people Such respect. I've had a lot of respect for them anyway, but such great respect. But other alternatives will now be used to replace the ones that the court incorrectly rejected. We have alternatives, great alternatives. Could be more money. We'll take in more money and we'll be a lot stronger for it. We're taking in hundreds of billions of dollars. We'll continue to do so. To show you how ridiculous the opinion is, however, the court said that I'm not allowed to charge even $1. I can't charge $1. Can't charge $1. I would have used 1 penny, but we don't make the pennies anymore.
Stop listening to the courts.
Can't charge $1 to any country under IEPA.
Obviously,
not $1. I assume to protect other countries. This must have been done to protect those other countries.
The
Certainly
leftist
not the United
judges,
States
they
of
don't care
America,
about this country.
which they should be
And they will
interested in
make
protecting.
horrible
That's what they're supposed to
decisions
be protecting.
that
But I am allowed to
affects
cut
the
off
people
any
in
and all
bad
trade
ways, and nobody
or
does
business
anything.
with that same
But
country. In other words, I can
Republicans, they love
destroy
to
the
roll
trade. I
and
can
show their
destroy
vote.
the country.
They either show
I'm
their
even
belly
allowed to
or
impose
stab
a
each other
foreign
in the back.
country destroying embargo. I can embargo. I can do anything I want, but I can't charge $1. Because that's not what it says. And that's not the way it even reads. I can do anything I want to do to them, but I can't charge any money. So I'm allowed to destroy the country, but I can't charge them a little fee. I could give them a little 2-cent fee, but I cannot charge under any circumstances. I cannot charge them anything. Think of that. How ridiculous is that? I'm allowed to embargo them. I'm allowed to tell them you can't do business in the United States anymore. We want you out of here. But if I want to charge them $10, I can't do that. It's incorrect. Their decision's incorrect. But it doesn't matter
It's
because
stupid.
we have very
And I'm-
powerful alternatives that have been
And
approved by this decision.
it's great we
And they've been
have
approved by the
alternatives. Let me
decision.
pause this
For
real
those
quick.
that
It's
thought
great
they-
we have alternatives to this. But again, I think it's insane we're even having a midterm election because this isn't Democrats and Republicans here. There are Democrats on the MAGA train. You have your Robert Kennedys, your Tulsi Gabbards, who technically she transferred parties fine. These are people compared to a Ben Shapiro or, God forbid, a Mark Levin, any of them. They have competing ideologies. They have different philosophies in what makes success in this country, what brings prosperity. But the point is, they want to see the country prospers. Maybe not Ben Shapiro and Mark Levin. Maybe they were bad. Maybe I should throw in like Steven Crowder or something. Like Ben Shapiro and Mark Levin, they just want Israel to prosper, not the United States. Anyway, the point still remains. You have Democrats and Republicans both in Trump's administration. The far left over here, they have bad intentions. They want to flood our country with illegals, replacing the American people. They don't want voter ID, even though their own voters want it. They're trying to create a permanent ruling class. They are at war with anyone who doesn't go along with their agenda. Obviously. I mean, they took out Charlie Kirk and then victim blamed the right. And you know what? The right fell right into their shit. They just fell apart. Like, Charlie Kirk should have been all the momentum they needed to put an end to this once and for all. But they don't have the testicular fortitude to do what needs to be done. Donald Trump doesn't have the testicular fortitude to do what needs to be done. They just stamp their feet and cry it's unfair when the establishment tells them they can't do something. Meanwhile, they are shooting at us. I mean, at what point do we say enough is enough? So having a midterm election, giving these people an opportunity to rule over us is patently insane. They are at war with us. They don't like us. They don't like the country. They don't want the country to prosper. And you're saying, here, you get your chance to vote. You get your chance for power. You get your chance to run for office. It's like if there was the Syrian civil war and in the middle of it, let's stop and allow these people trying to overthrow us to get into power legally. It's absolutely insane. It's absolutely insane.
They had us. And they're saying that I have the absolute right to license, but not the right to charge a license fee. So think of that. I have the right to license, which is a very powerful word. In many ways, license is more powerful than tariffs. In fact, I was thinking about using it. But they came up with the idea that I can license, just like the people that were opposing me told them to do, but not the right to charge a license fee. Think of that. Whoever heard of such a thing? What license has ever been issued without the right to charge a fee? You get a license, you charge a fee. It's automatic, but not with this court. But now the court has given me the unquestioned right to ban all sorts of things from coming into our country, to destroy foreign countries, but a much more powerful right than many people ever thought we even had, but not the right to charge a fee. How crazy is that? Our country is the hottest country anywhere in the world right now. And it was a dead country 1.5 years ago under an incompetent president.
It's been a dead country.
But now I'm going
for
to
50 years.
go in a different direction, probably the direction that I should have gone the first time, but I read the language. I'm very good at reading language, and it read our way 100%. But now I'll go the way I could have gone originally, which is even stronger than our original choice. As Justice Kavanaugh, whose stock has gone so well, you have to see, I'm so proud of him, wrote in his dissent, although I firmly disagree with the court's holding today, the decision might not substantially constrain a president's ability to order tariffs going forward. So think of that. The decision might not substantially constrain. And it doesn't. He's right. In fact, I can charge much more than I was charging. So I'm going to just start. Although I firmly disagree with the court's holding today, the decision might not substantially constrain a president's ability to order tariffs going forward. That's because numerous other federal statutes, which is so true, authorize the president to impose tariffs and might justify most, if not all, of the tariffs issued in this case. Even more tariffs, actually. Those statutes include, think of that, those statutes include, for example, the Trade Expansion Act of 1962, Section 232. All of these things I know so well. The Trade Act of 1974, Sections 122, 201, 301, and the Tariff Act of 1930, Section 338, all clear, but it's a little bit longer process. I thought I'd make things simple, but they didn't let us do that. I would like to thank Justice Kavanaugh for frankly, his genius and his great ability. Very proud of that appointment. In actuality, while I am sure that they did not mean to do so, the Supreme Court's decision today made a president's ability to both regulate trade and impose tariffs more powerful and more crystal clear rather than less. I don't think they meant that. I'm sure they didn't. It's terrible. And to think that the Democrats who oppose this only because they want to go the opposite way, they'd like to pack the court. They want to put on 21 people. They want to pack the court, pack the Supreme Court. Maybe they should do it. Maybe they would be better off if they did it. They want to pack the court. They want to do anything to hurt our country. There will no longer be any doubt, and the income coming in and the protection of our companies and country will actually increase because of this decision. I don't think the court meant that, but it's the way it is. Based on long-standing law and hundreds of victories, and even, as I was pointed out before, even thousands of victories over the years, to the contrary, the Supreme Court did not overrule tariffs. They merely overruled a particular use of IEEPA tariffs. And essentially, it's the use to get a fee. I can do anything I want with IEEPA, anything. I just can't charge anybody for it. I can license, I just can't charge them. It's ridiculous, but it's okay because we have other ways.
Yeah,
numerous
like
other
these
ways.
aren't
The
serious
ability to
people.
block,
And
embargo, restrict,
like common
license, or
sense
impose
says,
any
yeah,
other condition.
during peacetime politics, we need to abide by the rules set forth, our societal agreement. But let's say, a lot of people call Abraham Lincoln a shitty president, and maybe he was. What I do know is, and agree with it or not, when push came to shove, he got into office and did what needed to be done. He didn't cry because some leftist appointed judge told him, no, you can't do something that's well within your rights. Hell, when he suspended habeas corpus, they went back 2 years later and made it legal. At a certain point, sanity dictates that you do what needs to be done. You don't just cry about the side that's eating your lunch, that they're doing so unfairly. Sometimes you have to punch back.
On a foreign country's ability to conduct trade with the United States under IEPA has been fully confirmed by this decision. So now there's no doubt, because, there were a lot of questions about tariffs because no president was smart enough to use them to protect our country from those countries and businesses that were ripping us off. You took a look at the deficits that we had with some of these countries. It was disgraceful what they got away with for many, many decades.
And it's all intentional.
And now we know, because this decision affirms all those things that some people weren't sure about. In order to protect, and it says so, in order to protect our country, a president can actually charge more tariffs than I was charging in the past period of a year under the various tariff authorities. So we can use other of the statutes, other of the tariff authorities, which have also been confirmed.
Do it, pussy!
And
Do
are
it!
fully allowed. Therefore, effective immediately, all national security tariffs under Section 232 and existing Section 301 tariffs, they're existing, they're there, remain in place, fully in place, and in full force and effect. Today, I will sign an order to impose a 10% global tariff under Section 122 over and above our normal tariffs already being charged. And we're also initiating several Section 301 and other investigations to protect our country from unfair trading practices of
Good.
other countries and companies.
Now deport the illegal
Thank
workers.
you for your attention to this matter. And I say quite simply, which I've said for a long time, make America great again. And interestingly, we've already made it great, so I don't have to use that.
Yeah,
but I don't think
well,
we'll ever give
I
up on
think
MAGA.
those
MAGA is always going to be with us.
debate that.
If you have a few questions, you can let us know. But just to end, so we're going forward, we will be able to take in more money.
Yeah,
and there'll
that's
no
up
longer
for
be doubt,
debate
'cause there was
whether
always doubt.
America's great again right
I
now.
know the people that brought the
Minneapolis is on
lawsuit,
fire, and
and they're sleazebags, major sleazebags.
yeah,
But I know them, and they're foreign
California
country
is on fucking
centric.
fire. The job market
They
is
were
garbage.
sending
Everyone's
things
losing
into our
out to
country,
AI.
and the people representing
Wages
them
aren't up.
knew full well
I'm
that
not
they were
trying
sending
to
things into our country, and
bitch
they were
about the
beneficial
president
to
too
other
much,
countries, but very,
every time
very
he's like,
bad for
"Oh,
us.
America's
And I
great again.
stopped it,
We're
and
already great,"
we'll just
you're
keep it
out of
going.
touch.
So we have we have a totally firm decision now.
His
And I don't
base
think
is
the
the
court meant
forgotten
it,
people of this
because the court
country,
doesn't show
not the
great,
business owners hiring
spirit toward our
illegals.
country, in my opinion. A lot of bad decisions, but there are usually ways around it. This is something we could have done, as Justice Kavanaugh said, we could have done this originally, but we're doing it now. And the numbers could be far greater than the hundreds of billions we've already taken in. Yeah, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I'm very curious. You've spoken about
in the red.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. Justice Thomas and Alito, as you know, are the most conservative constitutional justices. Do you think that you'll get to appoint 2 more justices later this term with similar ideologies? And what type of vetting process will they go through to ensure they uphold?
I don't know, but they're great
Constitution?
justices. That's all I could say. And I hope they're going to be around a long time. I hope they're going to stay healthy. They're great people. They're great. And Justice Alito, too, to add to the group. These are great men.
Right.
with a great love of our country and a great understanding of the law.
Mr. President, are you going to ask Congress to take additional action on tariffs now? Have you
No, I don't
spoken
need to. It's already been approved. I mean, I would ask Congress and probably get it. When people look at the real numbers,
Yeah, that don't
and you look at
bullshit me,
hundreds
like,
of billions of dollars that
anything
have
from
come into our
Congress
country.
means they have
Yesterday, I
to
was
come
at a
off their
steel
ass.
plant, as you know, and I went to great place, great plant, great, wonderful people. And they were telling me, I said to them, you were there.
The
a lot of
only
press
time I
in this
see
room.
Congress move quick
So I
is
don't
to
think
the
this
money
plane's big enough
printer,
to take the press in this room. But
with the
a lot of the
exception of
press
getting
right here
mail-in
in Georgia.
ballots pushed
And
through.
I said to the owner, I made a speech at a factory. They make steel products. And I said, how are you? Nice to meet you. How's business? President, I'd love to kiss you. This is a very powerful man. I don't want to be kissed by that man, but a very powerful, strong man. He's been in the steel
Okay.
business for many years. His father started it.
Okay.
And he said, sir, I want to kiss you. I said, why? He said, because we were down to working 1 hour a week. And then you came in and imposed tariffs. And all of that foreign junk that they were dropping into our country stopped. And we're now going to double shifts, 7 days a week. And we may be very soon going to 24 hours around the clock, almost 7 days a week. He said, sir, I want to kiss you so badly. And I said, no, thank you. But you know what?
Am I the only one
just,
with a
just to
boner?
finalize it, he said, oh, this is a great place in Georgia. He said, all up and down the highway. Same exact answer, sir. We're all going out of business. We're going to go bankrupt. We're all going out of business. And now every one of us are thriving and we're hiring people like we haven't. He said, like I've never, and he's been in business for, I think, 45 years, like we've never hired before. That's because of tariffs. And we're going to keep it going the same way. And you're going to start to see the results in a year from now when all those factories start that are under construction right now. You see all the construction numbers are so good. Those construction workers are building factories that are going to be open, including not only AI,
Ooh, that we
big,
can fill with
but
illegal.
car plants coming in from
You're not
Canada, who
reporting?
ripped us off for 30% of our market. Mexico ripped us off for a big portion. Over the years, they've taken our market. They've taken our cars. They manufacture them in Japan, Germany, and all over the place.
They've taken our
because
jobs
nobody's
too, and you're not
standing
getting rid of
in this
them.
position. The position I have as president of the United States had the insight, the courage. Well, I don't know what it is to charge tariffs. You can make your product outside. You can put our people out of business. You can put everybody on the unemployment rolls. But if you're going to make a car in some other country, you're going to pay a 15, 20, 30% tariff. And those things would have never happened.
It himself. Go ahead. Put him on the unemployment rolls, whatever. Just if you make it out. If you send the work to the foreigners instead of bringing the foreigners here to steal the jobs, then we're going to tariff you. Got it. Got it.
The same thing with, as an example, Taiwan. Taiwan came in. They stole our chip business. They make chips for 30 years longer. They made chip, and they put our companies. Intel would be now the largest company. I saved Intel. I literally saved it at the beginning of this administration. And now all those companies in Taiwan are building factories in Arizona, Texas, and various other places because they don't want to pay tariffs. They're all pouring into the United States. But just like that great patriot said yesterday, sir, what you've done, nobody thought was possible. And Steve Moore, a highly respected economist, came into my office yesterday. He said, you've done something nobody's ever done. 22 Nobel Prize winners in economics said we would right now be in a recession. And you said, no, we're going to have a booming country. We're going to have a booming country. You were right. All 22 were wrong, and you were right. This country is booming, and it's booming because of the election on November 5th.
It ain't, look,
it's booming for another
it ain't
reason.
booming like it was in 2019. Nowhere close. Maybe it's booming compared to 2020.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President. What will you say to foreign nations who seek to renegotiate their deals? And what did you mean a moment ago when you said that the Supreme Court has been swayed by foreign interests?
Business owners who hire illegals
interests are represented by people that I believe
Not
have
the people.
undue influence, have a lot of influence over the Supreme Court, whether it's through fear or respect or friendships. I don't know, but I know some of the people that were involved on the other side, and I don't like them. I think they're real slime balls, and got to do what's right for the country. You got to do what's right for the Constitution. That's why I respect so much Justice Thomas and Alito, Kavanaugh, because they not only dissented, their dissent is so strong. When you read their dissent, a lot of times you'll read a dissent and it's like, well, you don't know, it could go either way. There's no other way. The good news is, it's like Justice Kavanaugh said, very strongly said, you have other ways you can go. You don't have to go that way. You can go other way. There are numerous other ways you can go. And frankly, this should have been done by presidents many years ago. They allowed our country to be eaten alive.
It's a
We
planned
lost
destruction.
50% of our
And
car
you're
business.
going to allow
We
them
used
to
make
run
cars. We
for
made all the
office
cars.
in November.
And then Mexico came, Canada came, Japan and Germany. But they're all coming back now. They're all coming back at record levels.
Again, if people are at war with you, you don't let them run an election.
Please,
And not with you, but with your
I'm not-
country,
I'm
which they
not
obviously are.
I don't talk to CNN. It's fake news. Go ahead.
Mr. President, yesterday you made the case that the economy is the hottest it's been in a long time.
Right.
January jobs report beat expectations, CPI report beat expectation, real wages are
Yeah,
up.
he doesn't have any
What would you
kids
tell
in his
Americans who are
basement.
worried that this decision will kind of throw the economy that you have projected going in the right direction at a very rapid pace off track?
Well, thank you for the question. And I will say this, we really are at a very important point. I've been waiting for this decision so long. They could have made this decision a long time ago. Not complex. They're wrong on it. It's a ridiculous decision, but they should have released this a long time ago. We waited months, and that gave uncertainty. Now we have certainty. And I think you're going to see the country get much stronger because of it. Look, we were ripped off by almost every country in the world. If you look at the surpluses, almost every country in the world that did business with us, our people were stupid. And I blame presidents for it because they're ultimately the leader. We were being ripped off by almost every single country in the world, had some massive surpluses. China had hundreds of billions of dollars in surpluses with the United States. They rebuilt China. They rebuilt the army. We built China.
And you're letting them
run
run to take control of the country
with
again.
President Xi, but he respects our country now. Now, what we've done, I charged China a 20% tariff as a penalty for sending fentanyl in. And that was 20 times more than they could make by selling fentanyl. And I said, at some point you're going to say and they have reduced it. Fentanyl is down by more than 30% coming into our country. Part of that is a strong border. We have a strong border now. But thank you. Thank you for your question.
Mr. President, sir, you warned once in a social media post that if the Supreme Court did this, shot down your tariffs, the U.S. would be, quote, financially defenseless. Are we financially defenseless right now?
No, because we're doing something in a different way. We're doing something in a very powerful way. And we're using things that some people thought we should have used in the first place. But it's more complicated. It's a little more complicated. The process takes a little more time. But the end result is going to get us more money. And I think it's going to be great. Yeah, please. Peter, go ahead.
Thank you, President Trump.
Yeah, exactly.
Since
Good
Liberation Day, there's about
zillionaire.
$175 billion.
I was wondering
in
if that
tariff
was
revenue
Lutnick,
that is
and I
now
wasn't
in limbo.
sure.
Do you have
I didn't want to
refund
say anything.
$175 billion?
Think of it, Peter. Very fair question. They take months and months to write an opinion, and they don't even discuss that point. We've taken in hundreds of billions of dollars, not millions, hundreds of billions of dollars. And so I said, well, what happens to all the money that we took in? It wasn't discussed. Wouldn't you think they would have put one sentence in there saying that keep the money or don't keep the money, right? I guess it has to get litigated for the next 2 years. So they write this terrible, defective decision, totally defective. It's almost like
And
not
yet you're
written
going
by
to
smart
abide.
people. And what they do,
Yeah.
they don't even
You're
talk
gonna
about that.
abide
Your
by it.
question is very basic. That was the first question I asked also to make you feel good. I said, what about all the money that we've taken in? Sir, they don't discuss that. How
Now,
crazy
the
is that?
establishment wouldn't abide by it, but you will.
What you're saying is, are you saying that you don't plan to honor refunds for companies that file for them?
I just told you the answer, right? I told you the answer. It's not discussed. We'll end up being in court for the next 5 years. Go ahead, Green.
Thank you, Mr. President. When you are talking about the relationship with countries that you have sought trade deals with, do you anticipate that they will seek to renegotiate those? What do you say to them? And do you view this as a potential undermining power for your
Well, we're going
negotiations?
straight ahead with 10% straight across the board, which was the absolute right to do. And that's taking place. That's a lot of money coming into our country. And then during that period of about 5 months, we are doing the various investigations necessary to put fair tariffs or tariffs, period, on other countries. So we're doing that period, but we're immediately instituting the 10% provision, which we're allowed to do. And in the end, I think we'll take in more money than we've taken in before.
President, you've used the tariff revenue to pay for a host of federal policies. You claim that they will pay for them. What happens
Well,
to
like
those
the
things?
farmers, we took care of farmers. You know, the farmers were mistreated by foreign countries very badly, very, very badly. And last week I gave them $12 billion out of tariff money. We intend to, out of tariff money, because just so you understand, we have tariffs. We just have them in a different way. And now they've been confirmed by the Supreme Court of the United States. So there's no longer that question out there about tariffs. And we'll be taking in hundreds of billions of dollars. And countries that have treated us badly will have to pay a price for treating us badly. And countries that have been good to us will be treated very well. We just left the top person in a place called Vietnam, just left my office. Great gentleman, strong and smart. He said, you know, I think this means you're allowed to charge us more tariffs than before. And Canada said to Jameson, I might want to say it, Jameson, but Canada said, I hope you win this decision, because if you don't win, you'll actually be allowed to charge us with a little additional work, higher tariffs. Jameson, you want to comment on that?
Yes, sir. So to the president's point, we have a lot of tools out there. We have Section 122, which will be implemented today. It will be signed today and implemented very shortly. We have Section 301 investigations, which are incredibly legally durable, where we can investigate and address unfair trading practices that have led to our huge trade deficit. And so you can look forward in the coming days and weeks to seeing all of that come out, and we're going to keep continuity in the program. We're going to keep addressing this so that the deficit can keep going down. That's the trend it has, and we can make America great again.
No.
Several of Republicans in Congress have supported this decision by the Supreme Court, and Hakeem Jeffries, the Democratic leader, has called you a wannabe king. Why wouldn't
him a low IQ?
But why wouldn't
he doesn't even know? And I watched him the other day interview. The guy doesn't even know what a tariff is.
There's been bipartisan criticism.
No, not
of
bipartisan.
the tariffs.
Excuse me.
There's several
A few
Republicans
people.
have said that.
Yeah,
Well,
a few
why
people.
wouldn't you just work with Congress to come up with a plan?
I don't have to.
push tariffs.
I have the
through?
right to do tariffs, and I've always had the right to do tariffs, and it's all been approved by Congress. So there's no reason to do it. All we're doing is we're going through a little bit more complicated process, not complicated very much, but a little more complicated than what we had. We'll be able to take in tariffs, more tariffs, and the Congress people and the
Voted down
Congress.
the Canadian tariffs last week.
Yeah,
There's
yeah,
been votes
you
in
know
the
why?
Senate against it.
Yeah, because we lost 2 Republicans or 3 Republicans because they're not good Republicans. What you don't
Well,
say,
that
so you don't
and
say
you
that
do
we have-
nothing
that we got
about the
215 votes.
You need
To
215
two.
for something.
stolen
Sure.
seats
We might have
Democrats
lost
hold in the House
3
through
votes.
illegal
And
immigration.
what was the score on the Republican side? 215 to 3, right?
Why would
You
we
don't
do
say that.
anything?
We
Oh,
have
in
great
fact,
unity.
let's do
There's
something
great
about
unity in the
that.
Republican
Let's let the
Party, and I hope
people who
everyone's
are
gonna vote
openly
Republican, 'cause
cheating
otherwise you
by
won't have a
getting
country
House
left.
seats
Because
forced
these
to
people
them
have
off
been
the
destroying, they are
population size.
destroying our country.
Let's give them a
Yeah,
chance
please.
to take power.
President, the 122 tariffs, that 10%,
Yeah.
is that going to be for 150 days, or do you want to charge that indefinitely?
We have a right to do pretty much what we want to do, but we're going to charge it starting effectively. I think it's 3 days from now. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, you speak to a lot of factory workers, a lot of manufacturing workers. What does the Supreme Court ruling say? What's that message to those factory workers?
Well, I think the factory workers are happy because we're now telling them that they're going to look. The man I met with yesterday who owned a factory was out of business. He was out of business. And now he's employing 5 times. In fact, I walked in, he's got a brand new crane. I said, how old is that crane? We got it in December. He's allowed to write it off in 1 minute. The great big beautiful act gave no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, no tax on overtime. He said this great, big, beautiful bill, frankly, has been the best thing that's ever happened for the workers of the, much more so than for rich people. The only thing it does for rich people, it allows them to hire a lot more people. But when I saw him, and then he said, it's all up and down the line. This is a place in Georgia, all up and down, other factories doing different, not only steel products, different. He said, every one of us was out of business. We could barely make it. Some of them were down to less than an hour a week. Think of it, 1 hour a week to make just a few little trinkets or whatever they make. Now they're going round the clock. I had it a month ago. I went to Michigan, went to Ford, and I met with Bill Ford, the head of Ford. And we were in one of the biggest plants, an original plant from the early 1900s, where, by the way, I might add this, it's not really relevant, but it's all relevant. Murders are down the lowest since 1900, around the time that he had this plant. That's 125 years. We have the lowest murder rate. Okay. And our crime is way down in the country. The factories that we're talking about, the people that we're talking about, they are so thrilled with Trump. So whether we charge IEEPA tariffs or whether we charge tariffs under a different section, that's what we're going to be doing. There's no way we can lever. This is what happened to our country. This is why we owe $38 trillion.
Yeah, and the people in the factories are thrilled with Trump because he's not deporting their slave labor.
Fed chairman who likes high interest rates for political reasons. He likes them. But
I mean, just the common worker I know who supports Trump and has supported Trump for a long time. They ain't very happy.
We should pay
right
the
now,
lowest interest rates on the planet. There should be no country, and we don't do that. We're number 38. This is just bad policy for a long period of time. But what's happened is we've made America strong again. We've made America great again. We should pay. As an example, the country of Switzerland, we were getting almost no tariffs from them. We had a $40 billion deficit. And the prime minister called me up. She said, but we are a small country, because I said we're going to raise it to 39% from nothing. That would have rendered them not very successful, as opposed to right now, they're considered elite. But if we put a tariff, it would, and I realized then, she said, but sir, we are a small country. I said, you're a small country with a big deficit. For us, you're making a lot of money off the United States. If we do that, a lot of these elite countries, they're elite because we let them make so much money. And I want them to do well, but I don't want them to do well on the backs of the American taxpayer. So I appreciate your question. I think it's a reasonable answer.
President Trump, you said that you were disappointed with that, but were you surprised with this decision? What you felt when you?
I was surprised because I thought that what we did was, number one, according to, I mean, I read the paragraphs. I read very well. Great comprehension. I read everything there is to read, and I said, we can't lose this case. But we can when judges are political, when they want to be politically correct, when they're
Then why are you
a group
listening?
of people in D.C. maybe. I don't know what it is, because when you read it, there's no other interpretation.
Look,
there is
again,
no
I'm
other
not
interpretation.
advocating that
it's
everyone
okay,
just go
because what
around and
has come
ignore
out-
the law and ignore judges. But when, again, there are people obviously at war with your country, with your people and your way of life, they get to operate outside of the bounds of law and decorum and whatever else, but we have to stick perfectly to our values, even in a time of war. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. If you know it's a politically motivated decision, if you have someone on that court that refuses to tell you the difference between a man and a woman over politics, why are you listening to them?
I'll say it for the third time and maybe the last time in a while, is that we've taken the uncertainty of tariffs out, because we had uncertainty. We got sued by sleazebags, I know them well, that are very outside country, China-centric, but outside country-centric. And they're going to end up not doing as well as they did before. America was becoming really, really, we're strong again. Hey, We have the strongest military. I rebuilt the military in the first term. We have the most powerful military. We make the best equipment, and even them, we could do much better. We have people that get paid a lot of money to manufacture Patriot missiles and javelins and all the different things. But when you want them, they're too slow, and we put them on notice. And they're going to make our country is building a lot of things right now, and our country is doing really well, and we're going to keep it that way. The bottom line is that the word certainty is now in the equation. Every single thing I said today is guaranteed certainty. It's been tested, as Jameson said 1,000 times. Literally, I said hundreds of times. He said, sir, actually thousands of times, and won in all of the courts. And we're just going back to that. And the problem is that we had other presidents that weren't into trade. Maybe they weren't business oriented. Maybe they weren't smart. We had some dummies too, respectfully say we had some real dummies. So we are going to keep it going just as before, probably more so. But you're no longer going to be asked. Every time I got up, you'd ask, well, what happens if you can't charge tariffs? Now we can. And by the way, in their decision, they specifically said we can do these. We have alternatives. Yeah.
David, on the trade deals that were negotiated using IEEPA tariffs,
Yeah.
do those stand now, or are they have to be
Well,
redone?
some of them stand. Many of them stand. Some of them won't, and they'll be replaced with the other tariffs.
Mr. President, the Supreme Court justices who ruled against the policy, striking it down, are they still invited to your State of the Union
Yeah.
next week? And will you speak with them?
They are invited, barely. 3 are happily invited. No, they're barely invited. Honestly, I couldn't care less if they come. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President. On the trade deal, which is the framework, which is to be signed with India sometime soon, will that stand now? And
What's
on the
that
decision,
smell?
nothing changes?
No, nothing changes.
Oh.
They'll be paying tariffs, and we will not be paying tariffs. So deal with India as they pay tariffs. This is a reversal from what it used to be, as you know. India, and I think Prime Minister Modi is a great gentleman.
Yeah,
a great
exactly,
man,
Godzo.
actually.
There's no
But, he
accountability
was,
for
much
anyone
smarter
who
than the
actually
people that
deserves it.
He was against in terms of
Now,
the United
if you're
States. He was
going 2
ripping us
miles
off
over the
in
speed
India.
limit,
So we
rushing
made a
to
deal
work
with
to
India.
pay
It's a fair deal
taxes,
now, and
then
we are
there's
not paying
accountability.
tariffs
But
to them, and
spend
they
some
are paying
time on
tariffs.
an
We did a little
island,
flip.
it's all good.
Are up
Thank you
as
so
of
much,
now
Mr.
for this.
Yeah.
No, the India deal is on here.
So much, Mr. President.
All the deals are on it. We're just going to do it a different way.
Mr. President. Thank you so much, Mr. President. I think there is another war that you stopped and you should take the credit, which is in Syria. Secretary Rubio, after his meeting in Munich with the Syrian Foreign Minister and the Kurdish General Muslim Abdi, he said that President Trump was directly involved in efforts to stop the fighting between the Kurds and the Syrians. How will your administration will make sure that this peace is sustained? And do you support the idea
Well,
of...
it's a very different topic.
About
so I
the
don't want to
Kurds
spend a
and
lot
the
of time. But
Syrians.
all I can say is that the president of Syria,
That
who
doesn't
I
mean anything.
essentially put
What
there,
about
is doing a phenomenal job. He's a rough guy. He's not a choir boy. A choir boy couldn't do it. But Syria
what
is coming
about
together,
here
really
at
coming
home?
together well.
No, I get it.
And,
The
thus
president,
far, he's been very
national
good to the
stage,
Kurds.
world
Yeah.
stage,
Thank
foreign
you.
policy, but
Mr. President,
we
what's your
have
message to
more
the Iranian
pressing
people after
issues
2 rounds of talks
here
with
at
them?
home.
Do you have any message
Why
to the
are we
Iranian
taking?
people?
What's with all these
in Iran
foreign
or people
reporters?
here?
People in Iran.
Why aren't you taking questions? I don't know. I feel like I'm bitching a lot today, but man, I am just about fed up, man.
You know, the people of Iran are a lot different.
It's
than
just
the
as bad
leaders
as the
of
left.
Iran.
If you have a
And it's
valid
very,
criticism,
very sad
the
situation.
tribalists come out and
But
call you a
32,000
panikin for
people were killed over a
pointing
relatively short
something
period
out.
of time. They were going to hang 800 2 weeks ago. Hang, some by crane. They lift them up with a tall crane and they play them around the square. They were going to hang 837 people. And I gave them the word, if you hang one person, even one person, that you're going to be hit right then and there. I wasn't waiting 2 weeks and negotiating.
So
and they gave
you
up the hanging. They didn't hang 837. Supposedly, they
you
didn't
did
hang
more for
anybody.
them than Charlie
No, I
Kirk.
feel very
Okay.
badly for the people of Iran. They've lived in hell. Please.
I know. I'm gonna trust the plan,
Multiple
Godzillionaire.
times
That's all we can
foreign
do, huh?
influence over the Supreme Court. Do you have evidence of that? And if not,
You're
will
gonna
you
find out.
investigate that?
You're going to find out.
What alternatives are you going to put into place in your
When's
relationship
the
with
last
Europe
American
and also those
reporter?
tariffs that has been called illegal? How they're going to go impact the relationship with Russia that you sanctioned?
Well,
some
I want Europe
countries?
to strengthen up. Europe has gone woke. Europe is not recognizable when you go into so many places. Not all countries. You look at Hungary. You look at Poland, Czech, Slovakia. There are some countries that have gone very much the opposite. Some really, and some others. But Europe has to be strong, and they become soft and not recognizable. You go into some of the countries, I don't want to be specific, but I think everyone knows what I'm talking about. And they're not recognizable. They become, the environmentalists have taken over. They've got windmills destroying their fields and their beautiful meadows and their oceans, and they're paying a fortune. Now, Europe has to get smart. Europe's getting killed on two things: energy and immigration. And if they don't solve both of them fast, Europe is not the same place. Yeah, please.
Justices Gorsuch and Barrett, are you surprised in particular by their decision today?
I
And
am.
do you regret nominating them?
I don't want to say whether or not I regret. I think their decision was terrible. Yeah. I think it's an embarrassment to their families. You want to know the truth? The two of them. Yeah.
Specifically on that
Say it again,
$2,000
please.
tariff check.
Mr. President,
I didn't call you.
You didn't call me?
Yeah, Mr. President, to be clear, do you believe at the end of implementing these new tariff tools, the tariff rate and tariffs will ultimately be higher than they currently are?
Potentially higher. It depends, whatever we want them to be. But we want them to be fair for other countries. And, we have some countries that have treated us really badly for years, and it's going to be high for them. And we have other countries that have been very good, and it's going to be very reasonable for them. Yeah.
Specifically on the tariffs question, on the $2,000.
I didn't call you.
Mr. President, thank you, Mr. President. Do you have any plans to travel to India for the Quad Summit, and how do you think your relationship with India is right now?
I think my relationship with India is fantastic. And we're doing trade with India. India pulled out of Russia. India was getting its oil from Russia, right? And they pull way back at my request because we want to settle that horrible war where 25,000 people are dying every month. And my relationship with Prime Minister Modi is, I would say, great. I also stopped the war between India and Pakistan, as you know. There were 10 planes we shot down. That war was going and probably going nuclear. And just yesterday, the Prime Minister of Pakistan said President Trump saved 35 million lives by getting them to stop. And I did it largely with tariffs. I said, look, you're going to fight, that's fine, but you're not going to do business with the United States, and you're going to pay a 200% tariff, each country. And they called up and they said, we have made peace. Okay. I just want to thank you all. Look, great certainty has been brought back to the economy of the United States and actually the economy of the world, because we generate so much in the world. We're the biggest in the world, and we're now the strongest by far. We were a country that was dead 1.5 years ago. Now we have the hottest country in the world. We're going to keep it that way. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President.
And that was Donald Trump addressing the nation, addressing the world regarding the Supreme Court decision today. They did strike down his emergency tariffs, but Donald Trump says they do have some backup plans and some alternative avenues, and that, yeah, that they're going to actually be able to tariff these countries a little bit more now. So yeah, I just want to thank everyone for being here, watching this with me. Yeah, it's kind of, and sorry if you can hear my puppy in the background. She's not too happy with the Supreme Court decision either, nor Trump's pandering to certain countries that, yeah, don't have our best interests at heart. So it kind of makes you wonder where America First figures into all of that. Before we go here, I just wanted to show a couple things off here that I did see on Twitter. Unlike the quartering, though, I went ahead and vetted them. So if you're looking forward to the hardcore porn, it ain't going to be over here. You might want to check out Jeremy Hambley's channel. But we do have Eric Daughtry posting breaking. SCOTUS Justice Clarence Thomas dropped straight truth bombs in his dissent on the tariffs. He nailed it. Quote, neither the statutory text nor the Constitution provide a basis for ruling against the president. Keep in mind, that's what makes him right-wing. Not that he's into politics, but, that he abides by his job. Congress authorized the president to regulate importation throughout American history. The authority to regulate importation has been understood to include the authority to impose duties on imports. The meaning of that phrase was beyond doubt by the time that Congress enacted this statute, shortly after President Nixon's highly publicized duties on imports were upheld based on identical language. The statute that the president relied on therefore authorized him to impose the duties on imports at issue in these cases. Because the Constitution assigns Congress many powers that do not implicate the non-delegation doctrine, Congress may delegate the exercise of many powers to the president. Congress has done so repeatedly since the founding with this court's blessing. So, all the fluff cut out. All the BS cut out. And, it's almost like the immunity ruling last year. All the left, oh my God, the president has immunity. He can do whatever he wants. When literally the Supreme Court was saying Donald Trump has the same rights as president as any other fucking president throughout our history. You don't get to hold him to a special standard. It's just ridiculous, Then we've got another post here regarding Section 232, which is another avenue Trump has and will be using, and it was actually mentioned in the Supreme Court decision. So let's check this out here from Charles Smerkley. Charles Smerkley. Countries in negotiations with the U.S. under tariff pressure, coerced, now have little incentive to make concessions. The constant levying, pausing, threatening, and reversing is over. Trump will use Section 232, national security, and 301, unfair trade practices. And this little clip that Charles Smerkley shared here says the Supreme Court ruled Friday that President Trump exceeded his authority when he imposed sweeping tariffs on imports from nearly every U.S. trading partner, a major setback for his administration's second-term agenda. The court's 6-3 decision has significant implications for the U.S. economy, consumers, and president's trade policy. The Trump administration has said that a loss at the Supreme Court could force the government to unwind trade deals with other countries and potentially pay hefty refunds to importers. Yeah, it's all again, it's hard to think anything other than these people want to collapse the country, whether it's for a global world order or whether they're just morons. I don't think there's much debate left to be had in this arena, but yeah, maybe they are just morons instead of just outright malevolent. These people are like heroin addicts. It's all about power to them. And I was talking with my buddy on the phone, imagine power is just like this white shining ball. Okay. White power. Ha! The ball of power is this white shining ball, and all our country has turned into is a bunch of people scrambling and stepping and trampling over each other, just trying to get their hands on this ball. Even if it's just for a few short years, everyone's just fighting over power, fighting just fiends for power. It's worse than fentanyl, it's worse than heroin, it is worse than female genitalia. These people are hooked on power. That's Bill Clinton's great fault. That's what annoys Hillary the most about Clinton. She looks at power how Bill looks at Ariana Grande. All right. Bill Clinton gets distracted by the female persuasion when it's all about the power by any means necessary. If we have to whip the country into shape with climate policies just to take an inch of power, that's what we'll do. And if we have to turn around tomorrow and burn a pile of tires just to get an inch of power, that is what we will do. Just power, 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 power is all that matters to these people. And we better stop playing their game. We better stop letting them use the art of war against us, using our own values against us, using our beautiful country against us, our ancestors' sacrifice, our inheritance against us. That's the worst part, is that we pay for all this. It does not have to be this way, but people like Donald Trump, whether I support him or not, and yes, I voted for him 3 times, I don't regret it, but man, the second term has been a bit disappointing, and at least at the end of his first term, you could say he didn't do anything about these Summer of Love rioters, these terrorists, because he was afraid of losing re-election. Now there is no excuse. Like, the American people voted for mass deportations. The American people don't give a shit about these set up crying toddlers because their cartel fathers being deported. We don't care. Get these people out of our country, the criminals, the workers. We want the boot coming down. We voted for the boot. I want the boot on these anti-American commie leftists. I don't care if they were born in Indiana, if they're or in Ohio or anywhere else. I don't care if they are American citizens. If they are trying to strip other Americans of their rights, they are not entitled to theirs. Yet the criminals, the people who want to take your rights, for some reason, even our side seems to prioritize their rights, even though they're taking ours away. When are we going to quit playing the game? When are we going to smarten up? And what do? Oh, well, let's give these people a chance for power. They want to take our rights. They want to crumble the country. We got to let them run an election. Why shouldn't they get power? We know they're cheating. We know they're influencing congressional members through population. Let's let them take office and rule over all of us. Yeah. It's just insanity to me. And, you know, it's hard to think it's not too late. Godzillionaire says, just think about the harm that has been done to this country because people are afraid of being called racist. Yep. Or just afraid of being called out. And I always say, man, if we could see the forest through the trees and how bad the corruption is and how bad everything really is in this country, it is so much worse than we realize. Corruption's like cockroaches, man. Yeah, we see some of it here, we see some of it there, but if you're seeing a little bit, that means there's a lot more behind the wall. You know, where there's corruption, there's a lot of corruption. And yeah, obviously, I hate to put it this way, but we can't vote our way out of this, because if we could, the American people would have been smart enough to not vote us into this in the first place, especially in the information age, especially when we have all the examples, all the stories, just everything we need to tell us what happens if we go this route. We still choose to go this route. So you know, calling these people the worst humans to walk the planet isn't a stretch, to be honest, because at least in the past, people were fooled into totalitarianism. At least they were fooled into giving up their rights. Now they cheer for it. So I love each and every one of you. We're going to cut it here for today. I'll probably be back with another live stream soon. I'm definitely looking to set up a show. Maybe on Friday nights or Saturday nights. We'll figure it out. Maybe sometime during the week. But I am going to be getting back to single release videos soon. I've just been dealing with a bit of an injury on top of a work schedule. And just we know how life goes. But that's still no excuse because I love each and every one of you motherfuckers. I love making content for you. Godzillionaire, thanks for hanging out today, dude. Just contributing to the conversation. And yeah. Watching the slow burn of this country wouldn't be half as fun without you, brother. So I love you. I hope you have a great weekend. If I don't see you on any other streams or anything, as for everyone else out there, whether you're listening live, whether you're listening later on, I love you, motherfuckers. God bless you. And yeah, you know, what can you do when your own generals stab you in the back?